Finally, I'm proud to present the Thomas Alva Edison Voicewriter Dictation machine. It's a model 76500, and I finally got it working, and I'm ready to show it to you and see just how awesome it is for a 1950s technology. This, of course, is a dictation machine that was sold to, I would assume, rich executives of the 1950s. I would imagine this was a very expensive item to own and operate, and I will show you why. This machine actually cuts records, and I'm thinking that perhaps it cuts vertically as opposed to horizontally, but here is one of the original discs that you would cut with it, and there's the grooves, as you can see there. So there's what it looks like to cut a record on this machine, and they come with little blanks just like this one. And what we're going to do is we're going to see it working on the inside. I'm going to show you a little bit about what it took to get it going and a little bit about how it works. First of all, we're going to pull the hood off so you can see inside the unit. And I'll take the camera off the tripod for a little bit so I can show you close up some stuff in here. This here is where you put your disc in. You can see I have one inserted into the system here, and it just slides into the side. We have inside here, this is your cutting head, this is your playback head, this is your motor. Your motor is attached to this pulley, and then down underneath is a roller that turns with the motor, turns your turntable. There is a solenoid here that activates a clutch that brings in your roller, and that clutch is activated on the microphone. So when you press this button here, the clutch moves the wheel inward and allows the recording or the playback to start. We have an audio amplifier here on the side that I replaced a bunch of capacitors on, and you can see those capacitors there. There's a couple of electrolytic ones, and there's several just normal capacitors. It has two tubes, and those tubes are like this one here. This is a 12AU7A, and the other amplifier tube is a 6AK6. So I replaced both of those tubes in there as well. There is a recording level control that's right here, and you turn a little set screw on the bottom to actually set the recording volume. Let's see what else we got here. I retrofitted it with a regular, just a 3.5 millimeter jack, so that I could connect some computer speakers up to it so you can hear what we record today. You have jacks on the back. This is where your power connector plugs in, and this is where your handset plugs in that I just showed you. There is a 3-setting selector switch here, which is more or less park the heads, and then there's a off switch, and then an on switch is the next one. You got a power transformer here. You have your recording and playback control. So as you turn the playback control here, you'll see that your head moves along linearly across your record. So as I turn it, you can see it's moving across there, just like that. There's also an indexer on the front here, which you can mark, and if you mark a particular section of the recording, you either hit the L or the C. So there's L there, and you can see it cut a little mark in there, and then the C here. I honestly don't know what L and C stand for, but maybe somebody out there can tell me. This is a backspace key, so as you hit it, it moves your carriage back just slightly. See there? On the front, you have some indicator lamps. You have a power indicator lamp here, and you have a record indicator lamp here. And the guy who owned this had his initials on the front. It was EH something, and the something fell off. And then here's, of course, your playback volume control right here, just a slider volume control. So there you have it. That's pretty much the setup for the unit. So let's go ahead and make a recording. I will say that I did have to modify this clutch system in here. There's a spring that I tried to adjust that goes here. It's a little C-clip type spring, and when I was trying to adjust it, it broke. So I have a retrofitted spring there that's doing the job for us right now, but by having that, it disables the clutch. So as soon as I turn it on, it actually starts playback or record immediately. Oh, by the way, to record, you push this down, and to playback, you pull this up. All right, and let's see if that actually shows us what's happening here. Yeah, so see, with your record, then your cutting head goes down. With playback, your playback head goes into place. All right, so let's get her spinning here, and we'll see what happens. Put the light back on, and I'm going to go ahead and set the camera back on my little retrofitted tripod here for the steadiest picture quality for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and spin her up, and you'll see the tubes getting warmed up here and the motor start to turn. Alright, and there's some recordings on here that I've already made, just complete nonsense kind of stuff.
Waiting your call because she's got to get ready and make this bomb. So, thank you, and here's my address.
Okay, so there's just a ridiculous recording I made on there. So let's go ahead and make a new one, just so you can see this happen live. So I'm going to move the little indexer to where there is no recording.
Thank you, and here.
About right there will work. I'm going to grab my microphone, push my record. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Thomas Edison Voicewriter. This machine is actually transcribing, or I don't know what the actual term is, but it's cutting grooves into this soft plastic flexible record. And this was a unit that was sold in the 1950s. And cool dudes who worked in business enjoyed using this product to dictate to their secretaries. Yes, they became dictators at the point that they dictated into this machine, and somebody else would actually type it out for them, probably. Or they just made recordings for posterity purposes. Now, this recording is actually turning somewhere between 16 RPM and 33 RPM. Not exactly either one. So when played back at 33, it's a little fast. When played at 16 RPM, it's a little slow. So I think they were making these records so they wouldn't be compatible with your regular run-of-the-mill record players. Okay, so there's our test recording, and I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye. All right, guys. So here we go. We're going to play back what we just recorded. Should start right about here.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually transcribing, or I don't know what the actual term is, but it's cutting grooves into this soft plastic flexible record. And this was a unit that was sold in the 1950s, and cool dudes who worked in business enjoyed using this product to dictate to their secretaries. Yes, they became dictators at the point that they dictated into this machine, and somebody else would actually type it out for them, probably. Or they just made recordings for posterity purposes. Now, this recording is actually turning somewhere between 16 RPM and 33 RPM. Not exactly either one. So when played back at 33, it's a little fast. When played at 16 RPM, it's a little slow. So I think they were making these records so they would be compatible with your regular run-of-the-mill record players. Okay, so there's our test recording, and I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.
All right, guys, what'd you think? Sound pretty good, didn't it? Not too bad. Let me show you a couple other things. One of the things I noticed was that this roller here was pretty much dry rotted. So I went to a local electronics store and they actually had some VCR rollers, and I found one that was almost the exact dimensions for that roller wheel right there. But when I took this unit apart, it just didn't survive well with putting it back together. It's just very flimsy, lightweight metal that these things are attached to. But this was definitely a problem area. I'd almost been better off leaving it like it was, but it had a lot of drag during the recording. So when I would record, it would really speed up my voice. You notice there was a little bit of a pitch change there during that recording. So it drags a little and then plays it back a little bit faster. So it's quite an interesting unit. There's some big capacitors that are down in here that I did not have to replace. I haven't touched those. But I did have another one of these units before and took it apart, took it completely apart, and it is a mess. If you take this transformer and all this power stuff out of here and try to get it back in there, it's just insane how that's all shoved in there. But, and of course, you know, this part here is pretty messy too as far as replacing these capacitors. They're all in a line right there, and got to be really careful getting them back in there. They don't touch each other and that sort of thing. But a really fun project. I was doing this in hopes that the records would play on a regular turntable, and they sort of play on a regular turntable, but not very well. The grooves that it cuts into these are so fine and not very deep. So the stylus really does have a hard time writing on it. Plus the fact that this unit actually has a linear drive system. So even when you make the recording is not following the groove, it's actually dictating the groove. So this unit here moving across here is, I believe, driven by the turntable. So the spin of the turntable spins probably a turn screw or something underneath here to actually drive the playback head across there. So it doesn't make very good recordings for playback on other turntables, but as you heard, it plays back really well on its own system. So again, it could very well be a vertically cut groove. It's entirely possible, and if you don't know what that is, you can look it up. Thomas Edison's what was it, his diamond disc system was a vertically cut disc, as well as the Pathé brothers. They also had a vertically cut disc to make them incompatible or less compatible with the popular horizontal cut grooves of the time. So I hope you enjoyed this recording, and I do see these on eBay quite a bit, so if you want to get one and restore it, it's kind of a fun project. But a couple of times during this project working with the electronics here, the sound went out and I had to fiddle with it and figure out what happened, and some of these wires down in here aren't attached real well and they pop off and you have to solder them back on, that kind of stuff. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will like it and leave a comment, subscribe to my page. I've got a lot of other cool old gadgetry just like this. In fact, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking of the IBM 224 dictating unit that's very similar to this unit, except for the fact that it records on magnetic media, not actually cutting grooves into a record. Thank you for watching.